Hello, everybody. Today we have the absolute pleasure to talk to one of my good friends, Erica Bruno. Erica is the Senior Director of Key Accounts at Recall Masters, and she's also the Treasurer and the Board Member for WoCAN, which is the Women of Color Automotive Network. And she's also the coolest person you're going to get to meet today. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Ina. I'm so excited. Thank
I,
you.
I'm so excited I'm so excited for everybody to hear your story. You and I met at a conference where you were one of the keynote speakers, and your story just, I was in tears. I feel like the entire room was completely moved. Can you please tell everybody what is it that you do right now? Who do you help right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm currently the senior director for key accounts for the company that is the background called Recall Masters. We are the largest aggregator of recall data in North America, and we help dealerships to not only find vehicles that have open recalls within their market, but also have them with their service retention and service revenues to help increase that. So I love what I do.
And when you, by the way, when you explained it to me and I was able to actually like say it in my own words, I'm like, that is a really powerful company. That is really cool. So we're going to get into all of that. But can you please tell us a little bit of your story? How did we get here?
Yeah, so I say I'm a car girl at heart. I have grown up in this industry. My grandfather was, from what I can tell, the first Portuguese Chrysler dealer in the nation in the US. And then my mom was the seventh female Toyota dealer principal in the nation for females. And then she was the first Hyundai female dealer on the East Coast. And so, first female dealer up in New England, where I grew up. And so, legacy is a big part of what I do and who I am. And it was really great to grow up in dealerships and see that. And I've done everything from washing cars to selling cars, including service and parts in the dealership. And then, I got to, I had to go off to college. That was part of the expectations of my family, because my grandfather never got a chance to even complete eighth grade. And I was like, all right, fine, but if I still want to be in automotive, I'm going to do it. And my grandfather was very supportive, and my mom was like, I don't know if this is for you. It's really tough as a woman to be in this industry. And I said, but I know, Mom, but I can do it. And so I went off to college. I got my degree, which was in history and anthropology with a minor in jazz voice. And
And you're an amazing singer, by the way. Everybody should know this right off the bat.
thank you. I know. I'm always good for karaoke. That's how I put it to people.
This needs to happen, by the way. You and me karaoke needs to
I know.
happen.
It'd be so
Anyway,
fun.
sorry. Continue.
No, no, no. But so I've done everything within dealerships, and then, to kind of prove it to my family that I could do this, I was like, all right, great. So I applied for Toyota's management training program, and the way that it was structured was, if you got into it, you had to move out to California to the headquarters. So at 21 years old, I moved out to California by myself, and I started my career. I was with Toyota for about 6 years, and then I had an opportunity to move back home with Nissan. And then the last what 10 years since has been a little bit of a hodgepodge, but I've done everything from, being one of the first 100 employees of Automotive Mastermind and, being in a young startup that blew up, which was fantastic to learn. I have worked for digital marketing agencies like Constellation. I've worked for Experian on their OEM team, learning about in-depth data and credit. And then I've also been a VP of marketing and business development for a dealership ad agency. And so why I ended up at Recall Masters actually is because I had connections, networks that all of a sudden there was an opportunity up here in New England, and they called me and said, "Hey, we want you on the team." And, I've known them for a long time, but I actually talked to uh, one of my service managers who I've known for a very long time. And I said, "Tell me your honest truth opinion. How do you like the program?" And he goes, "Erica, I couldn't imagine my life without it." And I was like, "Well, for you to say that means it's got to be good." And I have been here over a year now, and I got to tell you, I love what I do. I love helping dealerships, but I especially love helping women in dealerships. And that's a big part of my mission, is to make this industry better for women everywhere. And that's why I do what I do, especially not only within my job, but within WoCAN as well, which I know we'll talk about. So, yeah,
Actually, since we're on the topic, why don't we start there?
sure.
I'm going to tell you something. When I first joined the automotive industry, which was a little over a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. I'm here talking to women who have been in this industry for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I thought that I was going to be coming in to women who felt oppressed, who felt wronged, who felt, and I'm like, oh, we should talk about that a little bit. But the more that I talk to women in car sales, I'm gonna tell you, they are the grittiest, most thick-skinned women that I have ever encountered. We are seeing women who they know what they want and they're really doing everything in their power to take control of their careers, to tune out everybody else and just be on their
Mhm.
path. And I feel like that takes a very, very special kind of person. And so before we get to talking a little bit about WoCAN, I want to ask you about your experience in car sales. Like, as a woman in the industry, what was your experience like?
Yeah, so that's a great question because for me, you know, seeing my mom take on being a dealer principal in the late 90s, early 2000s was very, very influential on me because, I remember when she was a GM at one of my grandfather's Hyundai stores, and I'll never forget this. We would get dropped off after school, and all of a sudden we're sitting there, and again, there's this customer in the showroom, and all of a sudden you just hear, "Tell this bitch that if I'm going to buy this car, she needs to come talk to me." And literally, like, pin drop, right? Like, you could not hear anything else in a very busy dealership. And I joke to this day, it felt like my mom was like Wonder Woman because she was wearing a red sweater and a black pencil skirt. And I'll never forget this. And she walks over there very calmly, looking like a boss. And again, I couldn't hear what she was saying, but it looked like, the customer had been hit like a new puppy with a newspaper
Mm-hmm.
at one point. And then it like settled it, right? And I remember asking her on the drive home, like, "Mom, what did you say to that man?" Because I was really curious. I was like, "How did she do this?" And so I then later heard on that night, she was talking to my dad, and my dad was one of the finance directors at another of my grandfather's dealerships. And she goes, "I went over there and I was trying to be very nice, very polite of like, hey, I understand you're having an issue. How can I help you, etc." She goes, and then I finally go after he was being just really rude to me. And I think this is the most epic mic drop I've ever heard in my life. She goes, "Well, this bitch runs the store. So you can either want to work with me or not want to work with me. So if you want to work with us, I'd love to sell you a car. If you don't want to work with us, the door is right there." And she just owned it, right? And I think that is the one thing I've always kind of taught. And actually, ironically enough, I was in a text message this morning saying, we have to walk in twice as prepared, twice as knowledgeable, twice as strong, and we have to do it in a way that, again, we have to be classy, but also strong, and we have to bare minimum ask for the respect we so deserve. And most of the women I have known in this industry are incredibly strong, they're incredibly intelligent, and they're so talented, yet they doubt themselves for the sheer fact that someone else said you can't do it. And I'm here to tell you today that if I had listened to the people who told me that I couldn't do it, I wouldn't be where I am today. I literally had a manager who told me at one point, if this industry doesn't tame you, I will. And I literally thought of what my grandfather always taught me was, if someone says you can't do something, think inside, I'm going to show you. And that's what I approach every single day with. It's actually how I sold my first car, which I know you wanted me to tell this story too. But yeah, like, I think there are so many incredible, talented women I have seen defect from this industry that sharing my stories and sharing who I am and how I can help other women be strong and powerful and take everything that they want from this industry is one of the greatest gifts I could ever give to anyone.
I'm so glad that you share this because it's very possible that the women who have gone the distance, who have stayed, who didn't leave after 1 week, who didn't leave after 1 month, like these are the women that I've been talking to, and they really take this empowerment piece very seriously. It's like, I
Hmm.
am not going to let anybody take away from what I could really be doing here. And they move on to be the top salespeople in the entire store. And that's because they put blinders on and they just said,
Yep.
I am just going to do my thing. I would love for you to share that story.
My first sales side of the job was the new BDC. So my dad had asked me to help, with taking phone calls, emails, all that stuff. And I had done that for like 2 years. And then when I was 16, I was doing it during the summer. And I'll never forget, it was a busy weekend. And all of a sudden, there was a ton of customers in the showroom of this busy Toyota store. And basically, we ran out of salespeople, right? Like, there's not enough salespeople for all the customers. And so the GSM at the time, who's known me since I was a little kid, goes, Erica, get out there. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, just get out there, like, talk to people. I'm like, okay. And so I talked to one couple, and they were like, all right, we're going to think about things. And they left. And then all of a sudden, this woman walks in. And I remember just looking at her and being like, she needs help, right? Like, you just know when someone just needs help. And it turns out she came in with her abusive ex-husband because she was so afraid of being taken advantage of buying a car that, again, she wanted a shield, right? And so, I greeted them. Was asking her questions like, well, what kind of car are you looking for? What do you need? All this stuff. And I ended up spending about 3 or 4 hours with them. But during probably, I think it was the second test drive, because the other part about being in the BDC, I knew the inventory on the lot like the back of my hand. So I knew exactly as soon as she told me her budget, what she wanted, what she needed. I had a Corolla picked out, I had a Camry picked out, and I think I brought up like another newer car that I knew lease-wise would work for her. And we were on the second one, it was a Camry, and I knew this Camry well because it was my choir teacher's old car. And he goes, well, I don't care what you buy, blah, blah, blah. You're too stupid anyways. This car is going to be too much for you. Like, he was berating her. And
Wow.
I am 16 years old, sitting in the passenger seat, never done this before in my life. And I calmly turned because he was sitting in the back and I said, sir, I've been with you for the last 3 hours. I heard she wanted a car that was safe, good on gas, wouldn't be, huge for her budget. And, again, maybe it's not this Camry, maybe it's the Corolla, maybe it's the other car I'm going to show her. But at the end of the day, I don't really care what you want. I care what she wants. And that's really what I'm here to try to help her, is figure out the best car for her. And she looked at me like like a proud mom, right? Like a moment of like, wow. And she bought the car that day because I stood up for her. And again, like, I don't know if I would have done that now, but at some point, I'm really proud of myself that I had the intuition to do that, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where ultimately, and again, this is almost 20 years ago now, right? Like, it hasn't changed. And one of the girls that I mentored when I was with Automotive Mastermind, first day she had never been into dealership, never sold a car, never sold anything. And she looked at me terrified and she goes, Erica, I've never sold anything. What do I do? And I said to her, her name was Taylor, bubbly personality. She had all the right stuff, right? But she didn't have the training at that point in time. And I said, Taylor, I'm going to teach you how to utilize this tool. And I want you to leverage this tool. If you leverage this tool and be yourself, you are going to be so successful, it's not even funny, because I know you just want to help people. And if you help people, you're going to build a brand that no one can deny. And no joke, within 3 months, she became number one and she stayed there until she left the dealership about 2 years later. And again, like, you can't make that up. Talent and consistency will outbeat anything anytime. So that's what I tell a lot of the people I mentor, is that you just got to believe in yourself and you got to be not afraid to take the chance and take the risk and learn something new.
Mic drop. Mic drop. That is amazing. Okay. What do you think is one habit that most salespeople skip, but they really shouldn't? Before we hear the answer to that really juicy question from our guest, I wanted to tell you how I found her, how she ended up on this video in this interview. I found her on TikTok because she had a strong presence, because she was using the right hashtags, because she knew what she was doing. And that is how your customers find you. That is how you establish your authority in the marketplace. That is how car salespeople make their mark and take control of their careers, by being online. And you need to be on TikTok if you're not already. My name is Ina. I'm the AutoSocialGal, and I'm a social media strategist for car salespeople, for car dealerships. And I have helped hundreds of people with their online presence over the past decade. And now, for the first time ever, I have created a Mastering TikTok for Car Sales course that you can have right now and learn everything I know about how to show up on TikTok, attract your right customers, and also make the experience experience be right for you. It doesn't have to be silly dances, it doesn't have to be complicated scripts or skits. It can be whatever you want it to be. And in this course, I really put everything that I know so that you can have the kind of presence that is going to make you go from unknown to unforgettable, so that people want to drive 2 hours out of their way to come and buy cars from you. I have you with the list of equipment that you need, with all of the TikTok features. I am going to show you exactly around the app. I'm going to show you how to simplify the analytics process. You don't have to know everything right off the bat to be successful. I'm going to show you how to stand out with your unique personality. I'm going to show you the viral examples so that they inspire you and you know exactly what to post, and so much more. And all of this can be yours right now. And I want to give you a very special $15 off code. The price of the course is going to keep changing. I just put this out there and the price is going to continue to increase. So don't rest thinking that the price is going to stay the same, and grab this code right here for your $15 off, no matter what the price of the course is. Just code this QR code, take a picture of this QR code, or go to autosocialgal.com/TT for TikTok, get it? And use the code YTGals. That stands for YouTube Gals, so that I know you came from this video and you're coming from here. It's all in that QR code. If you go to autosocialgal.com/TT, it already has the code baked into it, and you can go and grab it right now, because I want to see you on TikTok so that I can go and invite you to be on this YouTube channel, elevate your authority, and inspire others. All right, now let's go back to the interview.
Oh, what a great question. If I'm being honest, I think it's the relationship aspect. I think a lot of people build really good rapport, maybe build some trust, but then as soon as someone walks out the door with their new car, it's like they forget about them. And again, I don't think it's malicious in our industry per se. I think it's literally just the chaos of a dealership, right? Like you have 50 million things, you got something else going on. Yet the best salespeople that I know have very strong relationships with their customers and always are checking in with them and saying, hey, by the way, how did Bobby's game go? Or, hey, how's the car doing? Do you need anything? Or when they see him in service, hey, Bob, how you doing? How's the kids? How's everything? And they remember certain aspects about who the person is. And I think that's the most important part. And I really did learn that from my mom, because my mom said, I want my business to be repeats and referrals. And if you can have repeats and referrals and people feel like you care about them, they're going to come back to you no matter what. It doesn't matter about price. It doesn't matter about this. And it's so true. Even to this day, I'm like, if you have a strong brand, you have a strong relationship with people in your market, in your community, why would they want to go somewhere else? And that's the part that you need to solve.
And I'm going to tell you how rare that is. Like, that's why it's such a valuable resource. How rare that is, that for any car I've ever bought, I've never had a follow-up. I don't even remember my car salesperson name. Like, that's not the norm. It's not exactly what happens. And I'm going to tell you, the place that I bought my car from is in my town. I could be going to them for service, and I just choose not to because I don't have a relationship with them. So I feel like
Exactly.
if it had been different, I would consider my local dealership my home. I'd be there all the time. I'd be talking to more people. Like, now what I know about car sales, I'm like, that's how rare that is. That I
Yeah.
love it that you said that. Before we move on to talk to dealership owners and managers, I really want to know if you have a really big message for car saleswomen that you really want them to know.
Oh, man, you hit me with a good one. As I have progressed in my career, every no has led me to a better yes. And I really, really, really want to emphasize that for especially any of the women that are in dealerships right now. You are constantly getting barraged with so many different things, right? And it's chaotic. And I understand that and I see you, but I am telling you, every no you get is leading you to a better yes if you're brave enough to go after it. So do not be afraid to maybe switch dealerships or switch, like careers in general, right? Like maybe it's not in a dealership for the rest of your life. Maybe it's a vendor. Maybe it's this. It does not matter if you are tenacious, if you are brave, if you are not afraid to share your power with other people, you are going to find the right place for you. And I'd rather see someone try something different than leave this industry altogether. And I think that's my biggest message for especially any of the women out there in this industry.
How does the Women of Color Automotive Network help women with that mission?
Yeah. So WoCAN was founded in 2020 by our four founders. And again, they really felt the need to create a safe space, for women, but also for women of color in the industry. Because when we look at the stats, women make up about 26% of the entire automotive industry. And again, that's dealerships and, vendors or OEMs, et cetera. And then when you break that down to women of color, it's only 6%. And so what we really have built and fostered is a community of women that, again, regardless of where you came from, what you look like, how you've done what you've done within your career, we want to focus on how do you get better? How do you move forward? How do you get promoted? How do you make a brand for yourself? And we do it through different curriculums. Like right now, we have the WoCAN Leadership Academy that's sponsored by Solera, and we have a 6-week cohort that's going on, and you get to graduate and you get, a sash. I have mine from last year hanging up in my office right now. But we teach them about like what does it mean to put your oxygen mask on first? What does it mean to find the right alignment in your career? What does it mean to become a leader, right? Like there's different types of leaders. There's leaders who inspire other people. There's leaders who can, run into battle, and how do you figure out your strengths, but potentially also your weaknesses, right? So you can work on them. Or how do you then link up with other people? Because I'm really strong at this, but so and so is really strong at that. And so you really create a strong team around you of support that helps you get further. And we have grown exponentially. We have over 1,200 members now. Ooh, excuse me, 1,200 members now. And, I love seeing the growth and I love helping women who, again, previously, I can't tell you how many women I've had say, I don't think I can do this, or I don't know if I'm right for this, or I don't know in general, right? And all of a sudden they go, what I was taught within WoCAN is that I can do anything I put my mind to and anything I want to do, right? Like, not that I need to do. Anything I want to do, I can do. And they are happier, they're healthier, they're finding careers that they enjoy, and I think that's the most beautiful thing is being able to give that back to people.
I love that. And we are going to be putting WoCAN's website right below so everybody can go and check it out. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk to dealership owners because I really
Yeah.
feel like they need to know more about recall masters. It really blew my mind. So, how does the leadership team of a dealership know that they need this recall data? Like, what is the biggest difference between that and the regular leads that they get?
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? Because now, especially within the industry, we're hearing a lot more about recalls than we ever have prior. Recall Masters has been in business for 11 years now. So we really have refined, okay, what does it take to get a recall customer through the door? But not only that, we had some of our early partners come to us and say, recalls are great, right? But then I'm not getting them back in for more service. Like, how can I increase my service retention and also increase my service revenue? So, what I would ask a dealer is, what are the things that you're struggling with, right? Like within service. Are you struggling with revenue? Are you struggling with shop capacity? Are you struggling with, making appointments, et cetera? Because we have full programs that not only can communicate to recall communications, we can also do service retention. We have a gift card that, brings in a lot of people. We also have a call center that's centered within the US. It's in Daytona Beach that takes in all inbound phone calls from our campaigns. And also we can take in inbound phone calls in general. So that's the other part is if you're struggling to find service BDC people, we can help you with that too. And then the data that we provide with all the data partners that we have, which is over 50, we're able to find second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh owner sometimes, right? Like because a vehicle will change as many as 4 owners in its lifetime. So it's not about just service retention, service revenue, all the things that I just mentioned. It's also about market share. How are you dominating your market, right? And I think we think of that on the sales side all the time, but we don't really think of it on service. And if we've seen anything with the way that electric OEMs are and the fact that, we're seeing more direct to consumer, really what is going to save a dealer that is a franchise dealer, an OEM franchise dealer, is their service department, is the fact that they can perform recalls because, again, right to repair acts are happening, and recalls are really the only thing they can't do at an independent right now, unless some of these go through. So that's where, as a franchise dealer, I'd be looking at, okay, what's my market like? Who do I sell to? Who do I service with? And how do I make that a little bit more cohesive so I'm not losing people to other brands or other this? And the funny part is, I was talking about this with my husband last night. He's a salesperson at a Ford store, and we were talking about how the sheer fact that Ford, as a great example, has stopped making any of their sedans, right? And not only that, has now axed the Escape. So you're telling me that a dealership that on average would sell maybe about 100 to 150 sedans and small SUVs has now nothing on the new car side to give to those customers, right? So how, two things, are you going to get them into maybe a newer used car, right? That's within a certain budget. But not only that, what are you going to do with that market share? How long are you going to be able to service them? How long, until all of a sudden they go, I do need a new car, and you find something else that they could get into, whether it's a new Ford or potentially a used vehicle, right? Like, and that's the type of strategies that I think dealers think about, but they don't know how to put into practice, right? And I get it. Like, dealers are dealing with 50 million things. But if you can have a partner who says, "Hey, I took a look at your market. I took a look at this. Here's a strategy that not only I think could help you long term, I think you could really grow long term with this." And I think that's the part of my job that I enjoy the most, is being able to say, talk to me about your business, talk to me about your strategies, talk to me about your growth, and let's put a plan together so we can make that happen for you.
Do you have any client stories that you would like to share?
Actually, it's in your neck of the woods, but I have a Subaru location that, again, when I signed up, because we are part of a OEM program with them, they came to me and they were like, we're really struggling on a few major things. We are either over capacity or under capacity, right? So flow of the shop. We can't find a service BDC person to save our life, right? Like, we keep hiring these people and they keep quitting. And then not only that, we're trying to increase our revenue, but it's like our advisors don't have time to do everything because, again, we don't have that service BDC backup, and we're getting inundated with phone calls, and we've tried this AI agent and it's not working and this. So it was like a perfect storm, right? Of just like a bunch of different things going on at once. And I said, great, we can solve your flow issue by making sure that, again, the campaigns and our team, when they're scheduling appointments for you, are scheduling at the right time and having the right flow. I was like, we can help you with the inbound phone calls on our campaigns, but we can also help you with the inbound phone calls in general. So if that's something you would like to do. And I was like, the other part of that too is I'm curious to see, when we start to see responses from the campaign, how are your advisors maximizing on, again, not only the warranty side of things, but also on the customer pay side of things, right? Because you've got to have a good mix of the two. It should be 60 to 40, customer pay to warranty pay. And so by working with them and looking and seeing everything, and they did actually sign up for all inbound phone calls, we've not only seen an increase in service retention, we've seen an increase in their efficiency. They've increased revenue over 200,000 grand per month. And that's the other part that, like, again, you take the headache off the people, you take the headache off of, a process, and you're increasing your value and your revenue in the same vein. And that's the part that I love because, like, I'm a puzzle person, right? I want to put all the puzzle pieces together to make the picture. So if I can help a dealer do that, it's the best part of my job.
I love it. Okay. As you know, dealers have so many vendors, so many people that want their attention, and that, so many options to sign up for efficiency solutions and everything. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if you had any advice for them on how to hire these data firms like recall masters. Like, I'm here thinking, are there any mistakes that they're making when they're evaluating all of these vendors that you see them making and you're like, no, what you have to do is this? Like, what comes to mind?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I think we're starting to see it. And Ryan Warman of the Warman Group really did it well, I think, at a SodaCon, where he's like, you got to look at your entire tech stack, right? Like, what does your tech stack look like in general? And this isn't just like multi-vendors, it's all the way from like your DMS to your CRM to this and like have it as a flow. But the other part of it too is that to me, if you feel like your vendor isn't actually helping you in some way, shape, or form, they could have the greatest data in the world, right? Like they could be one of the top providers. And I literally had this conversation with the GM this morning, and I said, check my numbers, check everything, check my reporting. If you think we did not do this, I want to know about it because then in some way, shape, or form, I need to bring that back to my team so we can get better. A good vendor is always wanting their feedback to hear how can I improve this, but not only that, coming to you and saying, how can I make this easier or better for you, right? Like, granted, I can't control your inner processes, I can't control your people, etc. But if I can put a plan together that will help you and figure out, maybe some places you need to adjust, to me that's my value, right? Like, and we've seen a lot of providers out there in the industry right now who again have gone to AI or gone to this or don't have as much one-to-one interaction with like a rep, for example. And this is where I really admire recall masters because they really put the emphasis on we've got people who can support you and want to support you, right? Like as much as you want or as little as you want. It's totally up to you. But if you want that support, we have people who will say, all right, let's sit down and make a plan, because I think that's the main concern I find is that they don't have anyone they can actually talk to, or they don't have someone who's like, let me dig into this with you. And that's why I still have dealers who call me from my mastermind days, even my OEM rep days, right? That will call me and say, Erica, I know you know this answer, or I know you can help me with this. Because that's exactly like I gave the, advice for the women in retail. That's the difference maker is you build those relationships and that you build trust with people that genuinely know you're there to help them the best that you can, right? They're going to want to work with you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. When I learned about Recall Masters, it really completely blew my mind. Like, why there is no reason why anybody should not be doing this, right? It makes complete sense. So, can you
Mhm.
please share with everybody how to connect with you, how to find you, and how to start that next conversation with you?
Yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn under Erica Bruno Martin, and you can email me at erica.bruno@recallmasters.com. ERICA, by the way.
And I will put all that information below for everybody to grab it. Erica, you are such a pleasure. You are amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Thank you, Ina. I'm so excited.